What's going on, everybody? FJ here, and welcome to episode 4 of Burn Notice. My cord is currently wrapped around the leg of my wheelie chair. So, one second here while I mess this up. This is a live show, unscripted, and you see it's already taken off in a bang. So, let me go over here to Facebook, make sure they got me public. They like to block my posts. All right, it's public. We're streaming. Today we got Evolution of Spicy. How have you seen the Evolution of Spicy come up in the community? And basically, I've got a couple people with me tonight. Got Ethan Rivera, and we're gonna pop him in, and we got Dustin the Menace. So I won't keep going long, but this is something I think needs to be discussed, and because it's interesting. Because when I first came into the community, it was the end of 2018, and people weren't burning like they are now. And if they were burning like they were, where were they? So I remember when I first came in, everybody would eat like one Reaper or something like that, and that was their burn. Do you feel like that's just where I was, or do you think that was happening other places in the community?
I don't know. I mean, it was just starting to pick up. I think around that time where people were starting to really challenge themselves. So you only had a few daring individuals that were willing to push past a couple peppers anyway. Um, I would say not just where you were, but where pretty much everybody was, because nobody wanted to push extremely far yet. Nobody had done it.
Yeah. So I remember when I first met Ethan, he wasn't really even big into burning. He was just getting into growing peppers, and I can remember, him doing his first big challenge was Goham's jerky. That was his first big dive. Did you say?
Yeah, it was big, and
It was hot.
I think yeah, it was hot. The big thing I realized was the availability of being able to push yourself. So at least around me, going to the grocery store involved habaneros was like the only thing you can find. Ghost peppers were kind of like a myth. It's like, oh, you see them online, you see these growers that have them, these exotic peppers, but to get hands on them, you had to go to a specialty store, and they were dried already. They were powdered or already in a sauce.
Yep.
So, the availability to push yourself really wasn't there. But I think that's, where the cusp of that was around 2018, 2019. And then all of a sudden, the availability of growers stateside that had those hotter peppers ready to go, seed vendors, whatnot. That was all in our grasp.
Right. So let's talk about that. The end of 2018, beginning of 2019, March hits, boom, we have COVID. Correct? No, my dates are right, or is that 2020?
2020.
It was 2020. So here we are growing. Yeah, end of 2020. And then we have COVID. And then we saw the community just blow up. And I think it was everybody was at home.
People were bored.
I think that's what it really was. So everybody got in their labs and they're like, oh, okay, well, this guy, I heard a tank, let's figure out how to make tank. Can I make a hotter tank? What are we doing?
So Tink was another big thing. Like, I mean, that grew fast. We're from like one or two people that we knew in the community that knew how to make it. Like we thought, at least for me, I thought it was like a secret potion. Like, there wasn't like, there was a lab that needed to be, you got beakers going, and then we realized, oh, okay, well, that isn't horribly hard.
But if you think about it, we had Sean Sutterfield, which
right.
was using beakers and shit. So we're like, whoa, so that's the only way to make it. So he's got it down. And see, that's back in Dustin's days right there when, he was getting big into this stuff.
Breaking Bad was on everybody's mind. So everybody thinks they got this
exactly. So I saw pictures of Sean's stuff, and it was all set up, and it was like on his kitchen table or a table in his kitchen or whatever. And I'm like, what's really happening here? And that's when the 24K tank was hot. So the Untouchables, that was a really cool phenomenon.
That tink was something else for sure. That was a hot one. Sean was mad for that. Yeah, I think free time had a lot to do with it for sure. That was where I picked up a lot of steam in what I was doing, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, where are you now?" And it's like, I don't have time now. I had a lot of time then. I got off work early because there wasn't much to do, and like, well, let's make videos. Got time to
Yeah,
edit.
I think on the other side of that too. So us per se as content creators had more time to do that, but also people had more free time to watch.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
we had the viewership was there.
Yeah, everybody was online.
Yeah, and I'll even say I've even seen Dustin tell Roger during this shit, and Roger be like, "Where's everybody? Where's the viewers go?" And Dustin would be like, "Hey, everybody went back to work, man. Like that's where everybody went. I mean, I've seen you say it. I mean, that it is what it is. Everybody went back to work. That viewership went down, and
Yeah.
the people that wanted to stick around and keep pushing out content, have done well with it. So,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I come across you, and you're gonna have to correct me on the numbers because, like I said, I've slept since then. And it was where you were sitting at your computer, was a table or something like that, and you had a bowl, but it was like scorpions. Was that right? It's like 76.
The two major pushes that I've done, because it started with people seeing that I was able to eat things without much reaction, and they were like, "Well, do more." It's like, okay. And so Alec was part of that encouragement, and I ended up buying a box of mixed yellow scorpions and red ghost from Craig Manahan. I think that's his name. Anyways, so I'd eaten like 10 pods in a row, and people were just like,
That was
and
my first.
so then it was like, well, let's sit down and just eat pods out of a bag. And I had that bag of yellow marugas that was on the Netflix show, and I think 850.
Yeah, that was my first time that I ever saw you. And we had just started chasing capsaicin, or Nick Paris and Bam and Timothy Keller had just started
Yeah.
chasing, and invited me and Ethan to tag along, and on that creation. And that's the first time I remember you posted that video. You're like, "Oh, so what were we doing? Eating peppers?" And I was like, "What's it like to be immune to capsaicin?" And you're like, "I'm not immune." And that was the first thing I ever said to you. And I'm like, "How is this even possible?" And it just blew my mind that these limits were being exceeded, because I was sitting there eating like a Trinidad scorpion and then like 2 reefers, and I'm like, I'm freaking over there dying. And then I'm watching this guy eat a bowl of freaking scorpions, like, oh yeah, just sitting down having a bowl of fruit. That's what we're doing here. And so it kind of blew my mind. So that made me deep dive the THCV1 receptors, and figuring out why our body makeup, some people can handle spice better or heat better than others. And I
Yeah.
think that you've even highlighted that when you spoke to me before, that you feel like your receptors are a little bit different than some.
Yeah, I think on a genetic level, I'm a little bit different than people. There's something lacking where I don't react a certain way, and I think just putting myself out there, even though I do feel the heat, and it does affect me in different ways, I don't have that immediate "I'm dying" reaction, and so I was able to push myself. And a lot of people would start to push themselves and realize their tolerance is getting bigger, and it kind of became this community feeding off of itself when it all blew up too, and you ended up with like, you know, what was it? Twisted Chili closed because the dude who ran that was something else, and then so we started Capsaicin Crew, and then Burn Club started, and then it was like us versus them sometimes, and it, constantly one upping, and I dare you to do this, and
Call outs.
yeah, call outs. Those are always fun weekends.
So here's a thing that I noticed is when Chasen first started and Capsaicin Crew first started, they weren't very far off each other as far as timelines. Okay, the timelines, and I didn't know about Cap Crew at all, and it
Yeah.
seemed like that they were running parallel without mixing. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you were
And I think
having the growth at the same time. It was crazy.
yeah, and I think Capsaicin catered to growing at first. It was showing what you're growing, showing different things that you got in your garden, tips and tricks. This is happening to my plant. What can I do to fix it? That kind of stuff was early
Yeah.
on chasing, and then where Cap Crew started off with pushing the burn.
Mm.
It was when what do you do with what you grow, and how you're upping your game, your tolerance that level. So like it paralleled, and then I think one kind of plateaued a little sooner than the other, and now they're on different paths. But yeah, they did grow early together.
Yeah. It's been interesting seeing the growth of it too, between what people are challenging themselves, and then just I think kind of the commercial success of hot sauce plus pepper contests in general, and you end up with these contests that are building up more and more and more, where you used to start with jalapeno and build up to like one super hot at the end, and now you're starting at like habanero or
Not even.
even higher
Yeah,
sometimes, and it's just like, yeah,
yeah,
just
Erie.
balls to the
They
wall. Here we
started
go.
with 1,300,000 or something like that. With
And yeah, the perfect explanation. I host this one in Mountain View every year, and so basically, I just pull whoever I can find around to come and join that. Like this year, Michael Feeney won that, but there was 7 other guys at that table. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And you already have them at you got a BOC, they're not tapping. Gator Jigsaw, they're not tapping. And these are just people from the area
yeah,
that they're not in the community.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That is, you used to have the just the regular pepper contest, and now you've got the amateur contest where you do take the people that are very new to spice, and then you've got the people that are willing to just push like that, and it's impressive that there's people that kind of come out of the woodwork and they're like, yeah, I've been eating hot sauce my whole life, but here we go.
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah,
helps too,
100%.
not scare people away from the community. Having that amateur level, like not right
Yeah.
into Carolina Reapers right off the bat, and then they're like, "Well,
Yeah.
this life isn't for me." Obviously,
Yeah. We've
not
got
realizing you have to build a tolerance to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we've had some people that have joined Cap Crew and did not stay very long because they felt Cap Crew's pretty extreme, I would say, on that level.
Yeah.
As far as where they're still doing challenges and call outs
I
and
mean,
whatever
yeah,
else. And so
if your first
people
day in
come in
camp,
and they're like,
everybody's
well,
doing syringes of Tink, and you walk in and you're like, "Hey,
yeah,
what's going on in here?" And then people are just 30 ounces, and you're like, "Oh, not for me." Like
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that brings you another point of this show. It's like we went from just a sample out of a
Drops.
out of the drops, and then we went to half a dropper, and then full dropper. Then of course Robbie Saunders with the Robbie first
Full
time,
Robbie.
first
Yeah.
ever one. And then it's like, yeah, and then this guy's like, oh yeah, well I did a turkey baster one time, and you're like, what's happening right now? A turkey baster.
Yeah.
But also that's another thing as well.
Trident, like you doing
With the
sweet.
evolution of spicy, I don't think, yes, there was like turkey basters involved, but I still think that the Tink since then has progressively gotten hotter.
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely pushed the limits on that. And I've had this discussion before with Nick in particular, where you have people that think they have a tolerance and they've just been kind of eating habanero sauce, and they're like, yeah, I'm comfortable with habanero and I'm pretty good tolerance, nobody else eats what I eat. And then they realize like they're not at that level. But then you have the people that jump into these communities like Cap Crew, and then they're like fast tracked into high tolerance, because it's like the moment you murder yourself on a couple crazy burns, like your tolerance is generally there. It'll probably heal and go down if you don't continue, but people are like crazy into it, like right off the bat now.
How long do you feel it takes for your tolerance to drop off?
Mine takes, from where I was, because it's not like, I don't know, my tolerance is weird to explain. It's
I
not
understand
normal.
that.
For me to go from I don't feel much heat, below habanero to where I can feel the heat on normal things again, it takes a couple months for me.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I think for people, you're talking maybe 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, if I had to guess.
So Mike Feeney says take a couple weeks for him. At least he said a couple weeks, I think, for me. So that's kind of me. I would say about a month, 2 weeks to a month. I can consider. I feel mine start to come down if I don't constantly push myself. Um, but also with one burn, it's almost like I'm back. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I can see that once you have the experience and the longevity of it, you might get a little more sensitive, but probably fall right back to it.
Yeah, because even when we come into pod season and we get our first fresh box of pods, and I don't know if y'all are like this, but this is the way I am. I get my first box of pods. I want to sample them. I want to see what we got going on, see the heat. And my first sit down with Super Hots this year, I made it like I want to say 3.5, almost 4 before they started gagging me because of the floral. But that was the first time I've had Super Hots all year. So I feel like that once you kind of achieve with experience, a higher tolerance, I feel like you can maintain it a little bit better, or at least deal with it mentally a little bit better.
I think that's where, your mental wall, your wall that you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. What am I? You know what to expect after you've already pushed yourself. So
Yeah.
when you take that break, you still know, okay, I know what to look for. I know what I need to do. I need to prep. I need to do this stuff. Where if you keep your tolerance up, yeah, you're there mentally already. But like that break, you still, it's like riding a bike, right? Like you don't ride a bike for a couple years, you still hop on, your body takes over, and you're able to do it. So I think it's kind of the same way, where you're just building up your taste bud tolerance, but mentally you've already achieved that, and that part stays.
Yeah, there's a big mental side to it. A lot of people, like we were saying, people first get into it and say, well, I don't know if this is for me. The people that have been in it, it's like, well, I know that it's going to be hard for that first couple burns, especially fresh pods, but, it's also something we all, enjoy as our masochistic selves are.
So, what do y'all feel like the percentage of our mental intolerance is? Do you think it's probably 30% tolerance? Is it 30% and 70%? What do you think?
For
I
me,
think,
it's 50-50. I'd say I have a struggle with getting over the anxiety of knowing what cap cramps are, and the aftermath, and having to still function after I do that to deal with regular life. That is a big block, for me.
Dustin?
I mean, not on a personal level, but I think just in general for people overall, it kind of varies on how crazy you're really going. Because at first it's going to be mental when the first getting into it, so it's a bigger mental block of realizing this pain isn't false, it's not actual damage happening, but being able to mentally overcome that. But once you're past the mental part of it, you're leaning a little towards, like Ethan said, probably 50-50, where you still have to realize what you're dealing with physically instead at that point. And then you reach a point where it's like, okay, I'm anxious and ready to do things and ready to go, and so you're kind of real low on the mental part of it because you just all the motivation to do it, but then your body, you're hitting those limits too, and so I don't know, kind of depends on where you're at on your journey, I suppose.
Okay, so basically, in 5 years, we've seen the spicy community just go from mild to wild, without better usage terms. But where do you see people's tolerances in 5 years? Do you think we've kind of hit kind of a peak where people are comfortable riding, or do you feel like this community social phenomenon is going to keep increasing, and people are going to keep on pushing the limits higher?
I think you reach the point of diminishing returns. We're going to slow down in gains. people are going to you're going to have the people that are going to ride their high tolerances and be able to launch themselves through it fast, like, jump right into the community. But you're going to reach a point where you're kind of stonewalled at it too. Kind of like Mike Jack's a good example, I would say, in comparison to where he started. Competitions early on with him, he was tapping out a lot sooner, and now he's holding my original Reaper record. He's over 160 whatever now. And so I think on some level we are kind of tapped out there. Like, at what point is it like, okay, well, 160 versus 200, whatever.
Well, we just had somebody join us who's I think that we can all pretty much say this man right here has affected our tolerances. So what do you think? What do you think?
A
Yeah.
bit more.
So Ryan Thomas has touched each one of us in the wrong ways and the right ways.
Right.
So
Inside and out.
I want to say that that Ryan's caused more issues with me not sleeping in my life than me. So as long as we still have the Ryans in this world, I think that we're going to continue kind of pushing ourselves up. And like you said, you're going to start having diminishing returns, but you still are going to have those people that continue to increase. Now, I don't really see anybody crushing 300 Reapers anytime soon. But I'm saying that as long as people keep pushing, would it be achievable at some point? Yeah. But I think that an antidote would come first, or somebody would come up with something where they could drop it in their mouths and burn longer. And I know Dr. Bees has an elixir, supposedly it's going to bring the heat down. But I think that that's how technology is going to advance before we see somebody hitting naturally 300 Reapers.
Yeah, kind of defeating the purpose at that point anyway, though. Eat some more bell peppers.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to
just go
come
by by quantity. Like 5 pounds of bell. Like then we
Exactly.
get to the quantity instead of the quality of the capsaicin.
Yeah,
And we've even seen that with the
competitive
challenge
eating on that level instead. It's different for me.
Well, it's like we've even seen that with the commercial challenge community. The commercial challenges that are available now are not strictly as hot as they were when we came in.
There's a whole level of beginner or entry level challenges now that are readily available for the most part.
Yeah.
To get those people that are curious, cap curious people that want to come into the community and don't know that they're not going to take on a tube of terror right away. That kind of thing that's going to blow somebody away. Be like, I'm done. Those kind of things being more available. Those chugs, the spicy chugs, those level 1 entry things are a gateway to get people into the community and still bring people in. So I'm glad that those are around right now.
Yeah, I think that's a big evolution of where the community has gone. Where first we went balls to the wall, like high tolerance, insane challenges, and now we're expanding more to a welcoming community where you can build to that level, but you can also not be as crazy off the start if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. So I think everybody just needs a little Wonka in their life. Just, hey, do you want to play a game? Yeah, kind of. So the future for burning, like I said, I think it'll still keep on increasing. You're going to have those people that stand out. Stephen Kurgan, for one, I've been seeing him push plates of pods for a week and a half now, just sitting down, just like munching on them. And he's doing really well. And that's one of the ones that, kind of, like y'all said, kind of come in the community by storm and just like go straight to the top.
Well, I also think too, with the more the popularity of the pepper / hot sauce festivals, you're seeing these people that are coming from their neighborhoods, like, oh, I don't know about the communities that are out there, and then all of a sudden there's a hot sauce festival that's down the street from them, or an hour away, whatever, and they're coming to these places, and then they're meeting like-minded people, and all of a sudden, boom, they're the dark horse that's in this pepper eating contest, and they win first place. Like like there's people that have followed these belt matches that are in there. This is their fourth belt match, and all of a sudden they're getting beat out by a guy who just showed up because he saw a banner driving down the street, and you're like,
Where'd he come from?
how'd that happen?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where you can give big props to League of Fire there, because they've created these belt matches. So it's made all these pod comps regionally available, where like back when we first got into this, I heard about a hot pepper eating contest for the state of Arkansas on the radio, and it was just this little cafe, having a hot pepper eating contest. You didn't have these regional belt matches. And I really, props to them for making this a readily available thing that people can do. That's pretty cool.
I never had the availability to do pod contests like that until they started hosting them. I was told when I first started that I was well known in the UK because the UK had already been doing all these pod contests, all the ones that Shahina had been winning, and this, that, and the other. And so people knew of me, and eventually, I would go on to face Shahina, but there was no availability to do these things until they brought it more or less to America during that period of growth where everybody started growing pods too. Like the one contest that was here in Vegas that wasn't related much to the community was a taco festival that they were like, yeah, we're going to do a contest. And they had actually talked to Greg Foster and gotten some peppers from him, just a couple though. And so it was one of the most half-assed things I had ever experienced. And I was just kind of like, it was like 4 pods and whoever ate the Reaper the fastest, and okay, well, whatever. So yeah, so that availability definitely came with the advent of their competitions for sure.
Yeah, they definitely changed the game for making more challenges readily available. Because I can remember when I came in, we had Tuba Terror, and then you had the Moab and the Nemesis. That's it. That's what you ate. Or you could go get the little gummy bear, Nitro, little Nitro.
Yeah,
and that's what we had. No, we didn't have
the one chip challenge. One chip challenge made it.
There you go. And the Choco Loco.
Yeah, world's hottest chocolate bar, whatever, that little one.
Yeah. So, but that was really all that was around, and so now you've had this blow up throughout social media and the community itself, and now you have hundreds of challenges. You get, probably I can name 20 producers right now out there promoting challenges. And I think that that's another thing that League of Fire really has done for the community. It's allowed these producers a platform to get their challenges out there.
I mean, they went from, like you said, like 3 or 4 basic challenges to then these small mom and pop, then we got our Capgun challenge, like that, to have that, in the League of Fire was crazy. Like we weren't big on YouTube. We didn't have, the following of, Chase the Heat or anything like that. We were, I would say, prominent members in the community, at least in Chasing Capsaicin. And, we had a good following that liked to participate in what we did, and something that just turned into from a small community challenge, like just a call out just to be fun, went, and now you can earn points on the League of Fire for, which was that was a crazy evolution right there. I mean, that was within months. We went from something small and fun to something you could buy worldwide and do a challenge and then have our face on the box. This is just crazy.
So yeah, love it or hate it, the leagues have their growing pains, that's for sure. But no one's done or put in the work that they have, and there's people competing, there's people trying, there's people that want to steal their thunder, be a competitor to it, whatever. I don't see him putting in the hours that the league has had to put in for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and prime example, you don't know the community exists. You like Ethan said, you see this billboard for this hot sauce festival. You pull in and it's like, oh, we're having an amateur hot pit breeding contest, or you can sit down and compete for this belt, and you're like, well, that's really cool. You didn't pay any money to enter that contest. You just went up there, got on stage, sit down, and you have a chance to win this really cool trophy and then introduced to a whole new community. And I think that's pretty cool of the league that they provide something like that. So let's swap over to community challenges, which I love community challenges. Now, Dustin has been famous for coming up with some unique community challenges. So let's jump into the mind of Dustin real quick. So where do you get your inspiration for some of these gross challenges, or do you just happen to see like a meme on Facebook, or what happens there?
We spitball in the group chat and randomly come up with things, and it's just there's a point where you reach like, okay, yeah, we've done insane spicy, we've done a really spicy chug, and then it kind of jumped, leapfrog over to, let's do, like, what if you did like hot coffee? Because I noticed, like, oh, you put tink in your coffee, the heat of the coffee makes the tink feel a little bit hotter. So it was like, well, instead of doing coffee, let's flip over to doing it with ramen, because ramen can be hot right after cooking it too. And I think that's where Dragon Ramen came from. And then we end up with something like just something gross, and it's like, yeah, let's just throw it out there as a challenge to see if people will do it, throw a prize out there. And it's just meant to be fun, not meant to like murder anybody or hurt the community. It's just, if you want to jump in and do something stupid with us, let's do it. Or ultra sour, stuff like that, or just things that take the capsaicin and then make it harder to do, like the heat, or like an ice cold Sprite is hard to chug on its own from all the carbonation. So what if you made that spicy too, and then it's just like in your nose? And
see, I love that. See, that's the wildness of especially Cap Crew, that I love. You can wake up in the morning, open your eyes, and you're like, oh, stretch, and then go in there and brush your hair, brush your teeth, and you go over there and pick up your phone, and then you're like, what the hell's this, and why are we putting tuna in a chug? And it's like,
Flash contest. Eat an onion.
Like,
what?
Eat an onion. Like, what's happening right now? And but it's cool because it keeps the mind going, and it keeps everybody engaged, because you're going to have somebody that may have not made a comment in Cap Crew in 6 months, and all of a sudden they wake up and they see tuna fish in a chug, and they're like, what is going on right now? And it brings back that engagement.
I just bought fresh tuna fish. Like, oh, cool. I got all the ingredients.
Prime example right now.
Yeah.
Prime example right now. There's a flash in Cap Crew for a glizzy with Pepto. And you're just like, what are we doing anymore?
Keeping things fresh,
Yeah, and it's fun.
We can't do chugs every week.
And that's why I say it's like an evolution, constant evolution thing. And people like Bruce and Ryan and yourself and Matt Hill and all these different minds come together and create these cool little flashes, and they have such giving hearts that make great prizes. So what y'all have done is made a mixture, and it's a really good mixture, and props on that for sure.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's also just really for fun, because sometimes you just want to dare FJ to do something ridiculous, and he doesn't turn it down. So
yeah, who doesn't want to see FJ on the floor with no shirt on,
guys,
hugging anything nearby?
Guys, and so that's another reason I've kind of slowed down on things. For one, I'm trying to lose weight, so as we know, you have to have something on your stomach to have carbs and absorb some of that, so you're not in pain. I can't regurgitate. I know Dustin can't. Ethan, I think he can only do it if his body makes him. So, like, what it's like. You do something crazy, and then you're incapacitated 12, 15 hours. And
That's hard.
we have
That's
lives.
more hard than the actual challenge. Like burning, mouth burn, like that's all tolerable. But like to know that you're going to be out of it for the next day, and you got a life to actually live, you got to go to work, you got kids. Like I don't. That's just hard for me sometimes to put that aside. I mean, it's impossible to put that aside.
Yeah, that was a fun lesson to learn. The first major challenge I had done before I even got into any of this. And it was just by chance that I found a video that was for the same challenge I was doing. And he explained how badly his stomach hurt for several hours. And so I had prepped for this. And I learned that if I prepped fairly well, the stomach wasn't too much of an issue. But you're still going to experience it the next day. And then also literally like sweating capsaicin as I'm working outside in midsummer in Vegas. It's like this is not cool. I gotta plan better for this.
Why are my
This is
eyes
where I'm
burning?
headed.
Yeah.
That's one thing Barnhog was running into, because you all know he was captain of the Spicy Chugs for a long time. Like he would just come home from work and be like, "All right, let's do a chug." And he'd pop his Sprite up there or his Fanta and pour it in. He'd be like, "Oh, let's just do the bottle dump." Bloop. But then, of course, and then he chugs it, and then the next day, he's working out in 95-degree weather, building those barnuminiums and stuff like that. He's sweating. This stuff's burning his skin.
Yeah.
He's on fire out there.
Your cheeks and your forehead just start burning, and you're just like, okay, no.
I washed my hands. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
I wore gloves. Why is this happening? It's already inside you.
So to set out the time to burn like we used to, and then Dustin, he's got a new baby. Of course, I don't know how to stop making kids. Apparently, Ethan, he's got young ones too. And then so you added more lives, and so it's like, all right, why is Daddy on the floor? Like, oh, just step over him. He's stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably the saving grace of COVID and having all that free time. Was just that was the major growth of everything online for sure. And we all had time, and that time is gone. And you can see the slowdown in every community of it.
Till the next one. No.
I hope not.
So yeah, evolution of spicy. We've seen people come in and be taste testers, and this is also individual personalities. Like what people don't realize, they come into a community of really, really hard burners, and they're like, crap, I can't go that hard. And it's like we try to tell them, explain to them, look, you're only against yourself. Burn how you want to burn. It doesn't matter if you do 3 drops or eat 15 peppers. It doesn't matter. Now, once they see you're able to eat a lot of that stuff, you're going to have Ryan in your inbox like, hey, you want to play a game or something like that? And because he knows you can do it. And that keeps it fun too. But
it does.
Any afterthoughts? I can tell we're kind of dying down here on as far as the topic of discussion. So we're gonna let the Atomic Menace get back to his raising his.
Before you go,
what
can we ask? What is your favorite prep? What do you like to prep with before you burned, or what you did like to prep with?
I can tell you that the one prep that I wanted to try and I haven't gotten to yet, and I've heard a lot of good things about, was a crap ton of mashed potatoes, and it makes sense in my mind between the carbs and the fats, which is what I was always aiming for, was high carb, high fat, basically, an insanely like macronutrient dense meal.
Could he freeze up, or is that us?
I don't know.
Is he moving on your screen?
No, he just really likes mashed potatoes. He's having a moment.
I bet his phone rang. I wish I had like a little dry erase marker. I'd draw him in beard and glasses and stuff on my laptop, take a picture of him, and send it. He'll be back in a minute.
All right.
But Dustin said he wants to try the mashed potatoes prep, but I knew before where I learned how to prep was from Dustin, private messages and stuff like that, and he would always say, "Oh, here we go. Now you can stare at yourself."
Oh, perfect.
You look like you really liked mashed potatoes. Like you were just like, oh.
Anyways, the main prep that I usually ate because it was the fastest thing that I could grab on the way home was Taco Bell. It's cheap. It's a bunch of fatty, greasy, terrible food, and it worked really well. Cheeseburgers, like a couple of huge cheeseburgers and fries would do it too. But yeah, anything like that, I'd say mashed potatoes would probably be a solid way to do it if you're going to do it at home, though.
Yeah. All right. So who's gonna eat 300 Reapers? Now I've got to see it. Not me.
I think Kelly Thomas should do it.
Kelly's awesome. So we know Kelly just has her love for Cap Crew, and that's where she wants to burn, and totally respect that. But gosh,
Absolutely.
would it be freaking amazing to see where she could go if she did decide to ever venture out? That would be insane.
True.
We do need a U.S. chili queen, so I don't know. Keep her in our.
I have a lot of respect for people just doing it for the love of it, though.
That's
the best.
That's where the heart is. Yeah, that shows
the humbleness to come in, just do it just for the burn. Like I saw her sit down, and she hadn't eaten any fresh pods that I know of really for the year, and she sat down and ate 20 RB003s. Like, hey, I'm just gonna sit down and eat peppers, and I'm like sitting there like, I have 20 RB003s in my kitchen right now. There's not a chance in hell I'm gonna sit down and eat those anytime soon. It's not gonna happen.
Not all at once, right?
Yeah, and I'll do a little bit at a time, but that's where some of us are not the same. She's just built different, and it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I think. Speaking of evolution of the burn, that was one thing you definitely saw. Is there's people that got into it because they just wanted to make money or be known or something, and it was like, for me, a lot of people thought I did, and no, I didn't. I was putting myself out there, and if I could make a buck off YouTube, cool. But I enjoy spicy food. It is what it is. I just learned I had a stupid human talent.
And I think that we also have seen people that came in for the love of the burn, but then realized they could make a buck, and then I think they forgot their initial love.
Yeah.
Or where they came from or anything like that. And I think that happens a lot too. But I'd say about 90% of the community fades pretty fast, but then you have that 10% that stays pretty tight and is doing it for the really hardcore reasons.
Yeah, I've met a lot of great people in this community.
I've met my best friends in this community. Like, seriously, like lifelong best friends. Like, you're the only person I can message at 7 o'clock in the morning doing a stupid voice and would completely understand what I'm talking about, and then Ethan, then Ethan, I can message him anytime and just say something stupid. And he's like, that's actually a good idea. Let's do that. And I'm like, all right, cool. And you find those people. The people that I've found in this community are closer to me than anybody I've ever met in my life outside. So I have a lot of love for it.
I agree. I think that's a good place for me to end.
Yep.
I'll catch you guys later.
Thank you, Tomic. Hey, thanks for showing. Thank you for coming by.
Spending some time with us.
Yeah. So kick Dustin out. We love him. Tomic Menace, one of the first people to ever really break the barrier, push the limits.
Push that envelope, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, we kind of faded out here. Like, I didn't think this was going to be a lengthy conversation, but I just wanted to kind of see what everybody's thoughts were, because that COVID period, I really saw an increase in thinking back now of people burning, people coming into the community, and kind of wanted to have a show on it. So what we do next week? What do you think? Or the week after? What should we do next?
We can do I don't know. I'm thinking like Love of the Grow. You know, I mean, it's harvest season.
You want to do a
Maybe
grow
some
show?
we could do a show about grow tips, tricks, harvesting, what to do to prolong your pepper season and or your harvest. Make it what to make it or how to make it last. You know, whether it be soften it up, powering it
Let's
up.
see. Let's see if we can grab Matt and Maggie Stewart. What do you think?
Yeah,
Because they have a big farm and they have lots of love in their hearts, and they can share. I think they could be able to share some of their knowledge, and then we can kind of make a good discussion about it. That'd be a good show. Yeah, I'll reach out. Matt and Maggie, if y'all are watching or see this, I'm gonna reach out. All right, love you. Bye. I'm gonna get out of here. What do you think?
yeah,
All right.
I'm good. Great show.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was fun,
I'm
and
glad.
it's
I mean,
nice.
at least a little hiatus that we had. You know, we kind of peaked off being live in Erie. Then life happens. Things just happen. But I mean, I'm glad we were able to set some time aside today and get a show in and kind of build back up that momentum that we were rolling towards. Hopefully, we can get some KDB to do some
Yeah,
cameos in here and get her perspective on things because I feel like she's
she's
she's doing bigger and better things too. So just to see
yeah.
that side of it would be nice.
She, she's got so many exciting things going on in her life, and then
Right?
of course
Yeah, 100%.
family and getting everybody back to school and stuff like that. So yeah, it'd be good to have her back in here, and maybe we can catch her next week or something like that. But and all right, I love you. Bye. I'm gonna get out of here. Appreciate y'all for joining us on Burn Notice. There's no script, guys. We just sit back, have a chat, whatever comes to my mind, mention it, and appreciate y'all hanging out. I'm gonna get out of here and shoot you this really cool outro, which I think is cool. And yeah, thanks for joining.